everyone. Welcome to Fuck.
I didn't realize we changed the name of our podcast.
I was like, wait, how do we do this again? It's been so long. A whole week. Hi, everyone. I remember the first time I said it. Okay. Wow, this is like episode 1 all over again. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Apologetically Me. I'm Maggie.
I'm Wanda.
And we're back with part 2 of things we would tell younger Wanda and younger Maggie. We're going to be talking about birth control, expectations in relationships, confidence, insecurity, and give some advice to you impressionable listeners/viewers out there. But before we get started, Wanda, tell the people what you got going on.
So this week, Maggie and I went to a very new concept, the best concept that anyone has ever come up with. It is drive-in sushi. So this sushi chain, it is still an all-you-can-eat, but they bring the sushi to your car. So you get all the benefits of eating sushi, all the sushi you want, but in the luxury and comfort of your car.
And isn't that what we all want anyways? You know, avoid COVID. Eat happily in your car.
You all should go. The place is called August 8. There's one in basically every city in the GTA, so support local restaurants.
Great food. Very expensive, but I think it's worth it because they're bringing stuff to your car and like they literally have a runner for it. So you know what? I'd pay for it.
Yeah.
If you have I recommend like maybe 2 people though for the car because I feel like it can get pretty cramped and you need space for your food. If you have like a big SUV though, maybe put the seats down, do like a little cute picnic, be a cute date, like me and Wanda go on our dates.
Yeah. All they needed was like a movie at the front. And then it could just be like,
oh my God,
a drive-in experience for real.
Dude, that would be so fun. We should have done that actually. We should have put in a movie.
Yeah. I mean, because like Netflix lets you download stuff now too, right? So we could have just like, yeah.
We missed our chance here.
Yeah. Well, there's always next time, you know, after the stay-at-home order is done. Or, I mean, alternatively, we can just eat from our separate cars and yell at each other through the window. Which apparently is okay because you're at a business and you are getting service. I'm not going to go into it. I'm going to get angry if I go into it.
That was also my quarantine update. I have done nothing.
Yeah. I think this particular quarantine is somehow harder than the last one.
Oh my God, yeah. I don't know. I think it's because we keep going up and down. Like literally Ontario, I mean like Toronto area, they've been in lockdown since like November. Yeah. And they had like maybe a week where they got to go outside and Ford was like, no, I don't like seeing all you guys on the patios. Get back inside.
Yeah. Even though he was the one who increased like restaurant capacity and patio capacity 2 weeks before we closed again. Now he's banned parks and we are now a police state. Please have your papers ready, everybody, if you get pulled over by the cops.
Yeah, that's insane. I know like 8 police forces have tweeted out saying they are not in support of this and they will not be doing like pullovers and stuff like that because they said it's a waste of time, like it infringes on Charter of Rights and freedoms and everything. But like, you never know, right?
Yeah, because you always have like rogue police officers. I mean, if you go look at the US and everything that's happening over there, you can kind of understand and see why carding would be not so great for people of color.
Oh, I was going to ask what your beef or crush of the week was.
Oh, my beef of the week is with myself. I think I'm about to snap from being at home. I am so bored and so lonely, and I don't know how long I can maintain living a healthy lifestyle at home anymore. It just sucks.
Like we're never gonna get out of this hell. Well, we will continue doing these quarantine updates, these sad quarantine updates until we are out of quarantine.
Yeah, I guess that's the one plus side of all this. Like, because we continuously stay in quarantine, we can keep on having and naming the segment Quarantine Update. For the listeners that may have missed it, Maggie did a rainbow with her hand and knocked her mic over.
I'm very sleep deprived. I'm dying this week.
My beef of the week is Maggie not getting enough sleep.
That's also my beef of the week. My average sleep this week has been 4 hours.
Her Fitbit thinks she's dying.
Yeah, I believe this. I say it as a joke, but I believe this to be true.
If all the viewers could think back to the university episode, I think it was Maggie and Wanda of age. But Maggie was like, I don't do that anymore. I don't sleep deprive myself. I never stay up that late to get stuff done. And look at her now.
To the listeners, I'm doing a peace sign.
Pausing for pictures. Please, not all at once.
I guess no one asked, but my beef of the week is myself.
I was going to ask, and then you started talking, and I was like, oh, okay, I'll just let you finish because I wasn't sure if you were going to comment on what I was saying or if you were going to start something new. Maggie, what is your beef of the week?
No, it's a good segue because my beef of the week is myself. I think sleep is very important. Like I've been doing so well with my like weight loss journey. Like since work from home started, I've lost almost 20 pounds, which is pretty great. Like go me. But I think like it's hard because now I'm not getting enough sleep. And because I'm not getting enough sleep, I'm very bloated all day long and I eat like shit. And it's like a vicious cycle. I don't eat like shit, but it's like, I eat like at bad times and my body is like, hey, what's going on? And like I don't have proper bowel movements and like everything's out of whack and like I'm gaining some weight again. And like I feel like I'm very chaotic all the time. And I don't want this feeling. So at myself, go to bed at a normal time, follow your curfews. Everything will be good. Midlife crisis is stopping here. I'm pulling the brakes.
Anyways, TLDR, we're done. We hate it here.
Emotionally, physically done.
Yeah. Which is a great
also
segue.
For the yeah. Also for the listeners, I apologize for my forehead. It's really
oh my
big
God.
because I fell asleep with my hair up, which you shouldn't do because you lose hair that way. But like, look how big my forehead is. It's like the size of my things, my fingers. Anyways, next episode, I'm getting bangs.
And she's gonna cut them herself.
I'm gonna get fun bangs.
Yeah, perfect segue. Maggie.
Segue into what? Bags?
Segue into insecurities. Or like the general episode.
Okay. That's funny. Okay. Yeah, this is a perfect segue into our topic. Again, things we want to tell younger Maggie, younger Wanda. So first let's talk about birth control. Ooh, Wanda, give the people the TLDR of what birth control is.
It is a pill or a patch or a shot or IED IUD that stops you from having kids or protects you from having kids. Or it could also be, I guess, condoms, because that is also a form of birth control. Anything that stops you from having kids.
Yes. And for other people out there too who are maybe like don't use it for that purpose, it's also a form of protection against polycystic ovarian, like that disease.
PCOS.
PCOS. Yes, you have to take birth control to stop your tumors and everything, or like it regulates it. I took it a while back for my acne. It was doing great for me. Made me hormonal like crazy. I was pretty out of it, but like great.
The best skin of her life.
Yeah, it actually was. Like I had no zits, no pimples, maybe like one or two here and there, but like pimples are not a big deal for me. I would take it because my skin is usually so bad. So in your experience, Wanda, which one of these have you tried?
I have been on the pill. And I have currently now I have an IUD, which I don't know why I keep referring as an IED. It's not explosive.
You have an IED in you? I gotta call the government.
I guess like with like birth control and stuff, like you need to be a person who knows how to self-regulate. Like you need to set an alarm, take it at the same time every single day, because if you don't, it becomes like slightly less effective. It also, like what Maggie said about the hormones, like there are like even low doses, there's still a lot of hormones that can like really mess up your body. And like I guess lead to like a bunch of like undesirable side effects. But in the similar vein, I did have amazing skin all through university. I never got like a single, if I got a zit or a pimple, I would be like, oh my God, what is going on? This is terrible. But like, I don't recommend it for like clearing up your skin unless your doctor recommends it, because zits and pimples are normal. The reason why I ended up getting an IUD is because I just didn't want the like hormonal side effects of everything, but I also had really bad cramps that the hormonal IUD was supposed to help regulate. And of course, there's also a copper one, but that one can actually make you bleed and cramp even harder. So I was like, no, thank you, not for me. That one you can leave in for longer though. That one you can leave in for up to 10 years. Hormonal IUDs, usually you can leave in for anywhere between 3 to like 7 years, depending on what brand that you have. I'm not gonna lie, it hurts quite a bit getting put in. Like, you don't expect it. Like, you're like, I'm tough. I've read all the subreddits about people getting theirs in. Like, there's no way that it's that bad. It's bad. And it's not just like right after the procedure. It's like a day or two later. It's still going to be kind of terrible. At least it was for me. I know some people have much easier times with it. They say that after you've given birth, it becomes a lot easier and it hurts a lot less. But I would get high next time I go to get it taken out and put back in, or like another one put back in.
Oh
That's
God, did
my
I hurt when you
tips.
take it out too, right?
Yeah, but apparently it's like pretty like fast, right? Like when it gets taken out, you don't have any like residual effects. You just have the taking out versus like putting in. It's in you, right? And so it stays in you. So it's like longer, more perpetual effects.
This is
I do recommend it though.
okay.
Like, I think it's great for people who want to like, who have like really bad cramps and stuff during their period, or would like to use birth control but don't know how to self-regulate, or like they miss taking their pill all the time. It's like it lasts a long time, and like going to the doctor's office, like especially now, like if I had to go get a renewal of my prescription, I don't know if I would go because COVID, and some doctor's office might not even deem it essential and might not even give you a replacement pack. Who knows? What are your experiences?
So I have taken the pill. I took it a while back for, again, my acne was pretty bad. The doctor was like, do it. I will say though, thank fucking God I was not like sexually active, because I would have gotten pregnant like so many times because I would always keep forgetting to take the pill. And I travel a lot too. Well, back then I traveled a lot. So like you got to figure out the time zone differences. And that was like pretty tough too. Um, I think it was like pretty great for my period in general too, because like I knew exactly when it was coming, and you could do this whole thing where you can skip it if you wanted to, if you had a busy month coming up or you had plans. Um, I think my beef with it though is that, yeah, again, back to your thing, you have to go to a family doctor or like a doctor to get it prescribed. You can't go pick it up for yourself, especially if you really need it. Like that's so stupid that you need to go to a doctor to get this. Like I get it, you have to get your blood pressure checked and everything. But I was telling Wanda recently that when I went back for birth control, I said, "Hey, like, should I come in to get my blood pressure checked out?" And they're like, not essential. Don't come in. Like you're healthy, you're young, you're good to go. Here's the birth control pack." I'm like, okay, not essential. Blood clots. We really do not care about women in this country.
Yeah, if you I'm gonna put the tweet up, but it's also on our Twitter as well. It's, I'm all for safety, but women have been getting blood clots from birth control for decades, and they haven't tried particularly hard to modify that. And I think that is iconic and really goes back to what you were saying.
Yeah, like, fuck women, right?
Yeah.
That's so stupid.
Thing where it's like if birth control was for men, they would try much harder to get rid of the side effects.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. Like, things if you want to be, like, sexually active and stuff, Plan B, birth control, all these things, like, you need to go, like, behind a pharmacist or talk to a doctor, but you can't just pick it up yourself. The condoms, yeah, go for it. You can go pick it up as many as you want. You don't need to talk to a doctor about this.
I mean, I feel like they're slightly different, but I do feel like pharmacists should be able to take blood pressure. Like, they have machines for
Right.
that. They could literally just be like, "Hey, go to that machine, get your blood pressure taken, and send me the printout. And if I see your blood pressure is within the normal range, I can prescribe this to you."
So if I die next week, you're gonna know it was the blood clots.
Yeah. With, like, also going back to, like, the whole Plan B thing, like, the fact that that's always behind, like, a pharmacist, like, some people just don't get it then because they're so embarrassed to talk to a pharmacist, and they're like, "Oh, like, I don't want them judging me and everything," and
Yeah.
also the box, like, the Plan B box is, like, massive for, like, one pill that's
One
inside.
pill, yeah.
Like, why packaging, recycling? Come on, this is why we're killing the environment.
All these corporations are not only killing women, but also killing the environment. They just wanna see the world burn. So what side effects have you experienced with the types of birth control you've taken?
I kind of mentioned this a little bit before, but with the pills, it was mostly just hormonal. Um, I guess near the end, I just felt very sluggish, and like I didn't really have any like desire or like to do much of anything. I guess. I think the hormones messed me up a little bit too. It's been said that the hormones and birth control can change who you're attracted to. So, like, for example, if you weren't attracted to someone before, they might become more or less attracted to you on birth control because of the hormones.
Damn.
For the IUD, it's mostly just the pain of the insertion.
Oh, really? So you don't experience, like, the same thing from the pill?
No, not like I would not say at all. Like it's very like I think like afterwards, like I felt more of myself again. Um, versus like
Mm,
the pill, I felt like I don't know, it's just I don't know how to describe it. It was just like it felt like a different me. Like I felt like I'm more back to myself now.
that's terrifying.
That's not like a like it was just for me. Like that was just
Mhm.
like my thing. And like that was after probably like 4 or 5 years of taking birth control. So I've seen a lot of women opt to stop taking it eventually. So it depends. It's what is that? Like what's the thing where it's like a saying, analogy where it's like oh, different apple for different person or different wheel for
Different.
your experience may vary.
Yes, that is a good thing to say. Um, yeah, I'm trying to think of a bit because I took it a while ago, but I remember okay, I had really like, I usually am, like, a pretty anxious person, I think. I think I do deal with a lot of anxieties, but I think it amplified my anxieties by, like, 2,000. Like, I had started a new job, and, like, almost every single day, I would be sweating through every single shirt. It was so bad, and I was like, "Maybe I'm just, like, a super anxious person." And then I went off birth control, and I was like, "Oh, shit, I'm so much clearer now. I don't feel as, like, a mess all the like, scrambled eggs all the time." I don't know if it made me gain weight though, I can't remember, but I do remember always feeling, like, a little bit, like, out of it maybe? I don't know if
Mm.
that's normal. Maybe that was just, like, the period of life I was in, but, usually, like, a mess anyways, so, like, what's the big difference?
Terrible. As like a side note to the weight gain thing, if you do end up like losing a lot of like what if you do end up losing weight in almost like an unhealthy way while you're on birth control, it can really mess up your period.
Fuck.
Yeah. Like so you want to
Damn,
do it healthily.
why do all these, pills out here go out to hate women? What is this?
Mm-hmm.
It is a crime to be a woman.
You know those like Bic pens that are like pens for women? Why isn't there like a company that makes like birth control for women? Like with
Birth control for men.
yeah. But like with the women's best intentions in mind.
Yeah, ridiculous. Anyways, I guess we have no choice but to recommend a form of birth control.
I
Um,
mean, you don't have to do it.
yeah, you don't have to, but I guess it's like safe.
Yeah, I mean,
Practice safe sex
yeah, like if
or
you
safe lifestyle. I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say here.
you can
Take it if
just
you need it.
yeah. The other thing is you should probably still use condoms even if you're on birth control because condoms protect you from STDs and birth
Yeah.
control does not. And get tested
Yeah.
regularly. Oh,
Yes.
that's the other thing. So every time they like every time they would prescribe me birth control, they would do an STD and pregnancy test and as well as like a blood pressure check. Like, do you have that?
Mm-mm. They
Oh,
didn't do that for me.
maybe campus doctors are just much better. Because
Should
like
I be calling my doctor? I have a lot to think about after this. I'm gonna call my doctor. Ooh, okay. Next topic. Oh, expectations and relationships. Looking for a significant other. So I know we've talked about this in previous episodes, but like, what did you used to look for in a guy? I know you had like that checklist, and let's give a refresher to the people.
Oh God, there's 10 items on that checklist. We don't need to go through it. If you want to listen to that episode maybe like 2 weeks ago on family expectations,
How to
that
be a
checklist,
disappointment.
yes, that one. The checklist is in there. It's a lot. It's 10 items. It was mostly that checklist wasn't mine. It was my parents, but I think because they always like enforce that checklist mentality to me, like you need someone who meets all these criteria, that I adopted a similar checklist for myself. So then like I always had like really weird like pet peeves where like they couldn't be shorter than me, they couldn't be younger than me, not even by a few months. And like now like when I look back to that, I'm like that so juvenile. Like, who cares if I'm taller than the guy, or who cares if they're slightly younger than me?
Retweet. I think I used to be a little bit like that. Maybe not to the extreme, but I preferred that they were a little bit taller than me, like maybe the same height. Um, and yeah, the age thing like kind of bothered me a little bit. To this day, it still kind of does, but like whatever. Um, and like my looking back at like my past crushes, I always tend to like the stupid guys,
Mm, yeah.
like guys who are like really into sports. To be fair though, we grew up in a really like white, like hockey dominated
Yeah.
town. Popular guys were the ones who were really sporty and really stupid too. And they were really cute back then. And that's just like who I went for. And I always liked the guys who were kind of mean to me. Hmm. Not great because I was like, oh, this is how you show affection. And then, yeah, messed up, eh?
Yeah. I don't even blame you though, because when we were younger, we were constantly taught by people that if a boy likes a girl, he will bully her, he will be mean to her, he'll like pull on her pigtails or whatever, right? So then like we adopted that mentality and then whenever guys were mean to us, we're like, yum.
Yeah, no, I think, like, I grew out of that, like, very quickly, though. Now if anyone is, like, remotely nice to me, I'm like, "Holy shit, I'm in love with you. Thank you so much for being so nice to me. I don't deserve to be in this world." Um, but, yeah, I think, I've grown up a lot. You know, I'm glad I've changed as a person. What do you think caused you to change over time? Like, what changed?
I think just like I guess growing up in general kind of changed. I think like as you grow up, things start to matter a lot less to you. I think when I was younger, I was very like boy crazy. Like I was very much into I never wanted a boyfriend and I never wanted to settle down with anyone. Like I didn't think I'd ever end up in a long-term relationship. Um but then I was like I always wanted like a guy for like I don't know, something, I don't know. Just to like I think it had a lot to do with like insecurities and stuff. Like I just wasn't confident enough in myself and I needed someone else to reassure that I was attractive. So the more guys that found me attractive and liked me, the more my self-worth was tied to that. So like the more confident I felt if more people liked me. And I think that tie has been severed not like fully, but like at least like somewhat, where it's more of like I feel confident when I feel confident. So that's probably why. What about you?
I remember your boy crazy phase.
How dare you?
Hey, you said it. That's when we were talking about like the underage thing when I was like, you were wild back in high school.
How dare you?
But I think it was like normal for a teenager to be boy crazy, because I remember like even when we were with friends and stuff, like the only thing we would talk about was like boys. We did not pass the Bechdel test. Bechdel.
I thought it was the bechamel, but I am maybe it's not the cheese test.
I mean, it's not an accurate test anyways of feminism, but still, we would not have passed it because we would constantly be talking about boys. And there were no cute boys in our high school, BT dubs. At anyone listening from high school, except for Prabby. None of you guys are cute. And I will be very happy to say that all my crushes are not as cute anymore. So take that.
Same question to you. Rather than talk about my experience in high school, what was your, I guess, like kind of like, I guess, turning point from then to now, and why?
Honestly, I think it was when I started to like seriously consider dating. I think like I didn't start like officially seriously looking until like maybe fourth year university. And at that point, like it's hard to look for people online, by the way. Like online dating profile, if you're setting up all these like unrealistic expectations, it's insane. Like you're never gonna go out on a date. And I was like, okay, let's be realistic here. I don't care about height when it comes down to it. Age, it like still kind of bothers me a little bit, but the month thing doesn't bother me. I think it's just the age, like the year itself. And I was like, you know what? Like, you can't judge a book on its cover. Like, I'm not a photogenic person. Like, it's not fair for me to judge other people just based on looks. Like, let's go out on a date. Let's see how this works. And I think it's just something over time where you're like, oh, okay. I realize that I need to have good conversation with people to make it click. Conversation is foreplay here. Um, yeah, I think you can't just rely on looks. Like, I think you grow out of it. It's like a puppy love thing that, like, even to this day, I don't think we even have crushes anymore. I mean, no, I think we both had crushes, but you know what I mean? Like, you have like infatuations with people when you were younger.
Yeah, it was very easy, and like infatuations don't last.
They don't. They die.
Yeah.
I remember younger, like, if the guy I liked me back, I was like, ugh, gross. I don't like him anymore.
So there's a story in grade 10 where I was like, I had a crush on this guy for maybe like a couple of days. And then Maggie decided to take it into her own hands and made the guy ask me out. At which point I was like, oh no, I don't like you anymore. But I didn't say that to him. Instead, I was like very like I guess frazzled, and like I was just like, oh yeah, sure. And then later that day I had to break up with him because I'm like, hey, I actually don't feel this way about you. I'm really sorry that Maggie pressured you into this. And then he started hating me for all of high school.
If it helps, I was a shitty person. I still am shitty. I am very sorry. You do try to bring this up to me almost every time we see each other in person.
That is not true. This was only brought up recently because something triggered it. And then I'm so glad it did, because I can out you to the public of what you did to me. As someone who hated confrontation back in the day, doing that was like so difficult.
Yeah. I mean, we've been there. We've been peer pressured into a relationship. Am I right, ladies?
No, please. I hope no one else relates to that.
This happened to me too.
Yes, it did happen to you.
And it also ended very poorly.
Yep. I wasn't involved in that though.
No, you weren't. So I'm proud of you
Thanks.
for not being involved.
Although I encouraged a relationship, but I feel like that's just me trying to be a good friend.
Yeah, I remember you taking pictures of me and the guy holding hands, and I was like, this is weird. I don't even like holding hands with him.
I remember deleting those pictures eventually.
So glad.
Because you got so mad at me every time I sent them to you. Good times.
Best first. I don't even count that as a relationship.
It lasted longer than my 1-day relationship.
Bar is low here. What is the percentage you would say you're into, like, personality, looks? How would you say the divider would be?
I would be like 60-40 because I think I still need to be attracted to them in some way. Like, I can't look at them and be like, oh, you're an uggo. To me. You might be not an uggo to someone else. But to me, if I don't find you attractive, like, I think, why would I start even, like, considering a relationship with you, you know? But then I think, like, someone can be brought back from the relationship grave if they have a good personality. And I think personality, if someone's like extremely funny, can make up for the fact that they might not be the prettiest person in the bush or prettiest berry in the bush.
Yes, I too pick the ugliest berries.
You know, if the berries in the bush could make me laugh, that's kind of it. Was like a nice person. Ooh, if the berry in the bush could make me laugh and their whole, like, how they show affection is through acts of service, then I'm sure we could get along.
Make me laugh, slave. Is that literally not what you just said?
What is your, I guess, personality versus looks?
Oh. So actually it's funny because, like, when I was younger, I think, like, because, like, you're in an environment where you're, like, around people, like, 24/7, you have the same schedule with them, like, you're near them, you're talking to them 24/7, I think the looks change a little bit. I think the environmental factors take a lot more active role in, like, how you find someone attractive. So I think, like, looks would go down to, like, 20%. And
Wow.
personality was like 80%. Yeah, but I have, like, weird phases where I'm like, wait, I think this person's kind of attractive just because, like, their personality was so nice to me.
Yeah, at Bill Hader.
Uh,
Personality means much more to you.
yeah, but now I would say, yeah, I think you're right, 60-40.
Yeah.
Because now I'm older and now I'm like, oh, wait, no, someone was telling me that you find someone hot because, like, you want to have kids with them. And I'm like, oh, okay. So maybe it's 60-40 now. Because you can't carry personality over to your kids. Am I right? Actually, I take it back. Me and my mom have the same personality.
Uh-oh. Personality is just like, because looks fade. Personality is forever. But personality also can fade. So, I mean.
Personality on birth control, though.
Yeah, you gotta wean them off birth control. You gotta know what they're really like.
Throw a little bit more bullshit at them. Let's see how much they'll take.
Yeah.
So what advice would you tell, like, younger you about relationships?
You don't need to rush into relationships. And you do not need to have your self-worth be tied to another man that will tell you that you're pretty. You can tell yourself that you are pretty.
Oh.
Yeah. But I feel like even now, like, I'm still not, like, I don't know what it is exactly, but I feel like I'm a lot more confident now than I was 2 years ago, and I don't wanna tie it to the fact that it's because I'm dating someone that, like, I'm more confident, but something changed.
It's interesting to me because you've always been, like, a very confident person to me. Like, that was, like, one of the first things I noticed about you and one of the many things that I admire about you. Like, your confidence is, like, so out there. But I think before it was like maybe like an obnoxious, like an overcompensating.
How dare you?
Like an overcompensating confidence, like in high school or something. Because when you mentioned, like, the insecurity thing, like tying it to boys, and I was like, oh, this makes more sense now. But now I think you have, like, a really cool, like, quiet confidence about you, like big dick energy.
Nice.
But, like, but like cooler in this way.
You know how like you got mad at me for not telling you to change, or like your leggings were see-through 3 days later, and you got
Yeah.
mad at me for not telling you that I didn't love that pink cardigan you wore in high school. I'm mad at you for not telling me that I had an obnoxious sense of confidence until 8 years later.
Not obnoxious, but I think it was like a lot, like a
Yeah.
lot of confidence. But I think because in comparison, like the people we surrounded ourselves with, like we were all struggling so much with like insecurities and like trying to figure out who we are and like comparing ourselves to other people, but you were always like so like whatever. Like this is me. This is cool.
Yeah, and I think it's like in high school, I think a lot of that might have been like not necessarily like real, like it might have been like faked a little bit, but I think
Until you make it.
yeah, which is true. Like that's how you get there, but I feel like in recent years it's gotten a lot better. I want to say it's because I started going to the gym. Apparently, testosterone. Okay, so recently I was reading this thread on Reddit where the runner's high and the post gym high is different. The runner's high is more of like a euphoric feeling versus like the lifting high is more of like a I'm a badass and I can take anything on. Because when you're lifting, it releases more testosterone. And if you really think about it, is that how or why guys are always like, I run the world, I rule the world, I can do anything? It's because they have so much more testosterone pumping through their veins.
Mm.
Like, I don't know if you get it, but like, I 100% every time I leave the gym, I'm like, I'm the baddest bitch and I can do anything.
Yeah. Retweet. That's legit it, I think. Like I feel like my most confident when I'm like when I have like an active workout routine. And I think lately I've been like slipping and like been falling apart.
But it's okay if you make it into a song. What was it? It was what I would tell my younger self about relationships. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, don't settle for any guy just because he thinks you're pretty. You don't have to date him. Just because you think he's pretty and he has a shitty personality doesn't probably wouldn't work out. Um, you can I feel like you can like experiment and be like, what do I want? Because you're not going to know in high school. Most people do not.
Mhm. So I watched this TED talk that was like, and shout out to Kathy for sending it to me, but it was basically like this woman had gone through like 2 or 3 marriages. And she was finding out the reason why is because she was too focused on like impressing them and how they
Mm.
were feeling. And she realized that the trick is to really focus on how you feel when you're around them. Like, do you feel good? Do you feel comfortable? Do you feel confident? And I think I've been like unconsciously doing that for like my whole life. Like I'm like I'm not like a big dater. Like, I'm not a serial dater. I'm very like picky about who I go out with. Um, so I think like trust your gut, go with that. Like see how you feel around them. If you're like super comfortable, super confident around them, like you're at yourself, I think like that's a good sign to go for it. And like take all the time you need. There's no rush at all to date. Um, I think like just keep doing the best you. But also like push your comfort zones a little bit. Like be comfortable, but be a little bit uncomfortable at be comfortable at being uncomfortable. A weird way to say it, but like you'll see what I mean when you date a little bit. It's hard to do in COVID. It's hard to date. Virtual dating. We will come back to this topic another time, but really focus on how you feel, I think. And everything Wanda said, I think that was good advice too. Really focus on you though. You should come first.
Yeah, it's okay to be a little bit selfish. Like, as long as you're not selfish to the point where you're completely disregarding the other person's feelings.
Mhm.
But at the same time, they should not be putting you into situations where you're like very uncomfortable. Like, I always tell Maggie to be like pushing her comfort zones, like slowly, not like aggressively pushing her comfort zones. And I think
Yeah.
that is like great advice if I have to say so myself.
Yeah, you will literally like push me off a cliff like, "No, do this." So for some context, I have like pretty bad body dysmorphia, like pretty crippling back in the day. Um and I really hate like going out on dates and like eating in front of guys. And Wanda is always like the one who pushes me and is like, "No, do it. Go for the messiest things, like fuck it up, like get the ones that you want, like do whatever you want. Like this is for you. Go outside your comfort zone." And I'm like, "Okay. This is the hardest thing I've ever had to do, but I think it's good. I'm glad that she pushes me. I'm glad that I'm pushing myself. Um, yeah.
Yeah. I think for choosing friends as well, like be with the friends who make you feel most confident in yourself.
Mhm. Be with people who challenge you, I think.
Mhm.
Not you don't want the people who are always enabling you with your bad behavior.
We're telling them 8 years later about their bad behavior when it's like, "Oh, you've already changed it, so it doesn't even matter anymore."
Okay. 8 years ago, would you have wanted me to say to you, "Wanda, you're, like, too confident, like, take it down a notch." That sounds
No.
horrible.
Yeah. But
It
I
sounds
would
like I'm jealous of you, but I want you to, like, stop, but, like, I admire it, like, I thought it was really cool.
Yeah, I know. I just like bringing it up now because I have something to be petty over.
Like, you have no reason to be that confident. Don't be that confident one.
Before we end that though, like what would you tell your younger self like in general, like to deal with like insecurities and to I guess become more confident?
Oh, boy. Um Honestly, I think it comes down to and I know I've said it a lot in past episodes, but I think it's self-care. I think it's about, like, how y like, eating healthy, like, having a healthy lifestyle. I think the more you practice that, I think it's gonna come out that you're confident, that you're doing right, that you're good. And I think I just didn't do that when I was younger. I think it was, like, pretty bad. It's oh, okay, so I saw this TikTok thing too. It's like every time you have, like, negative thoughts, like, talk think about it like if your best friend was saying this to you, because, like, these are things that you wouldn't let your best friend say to yourself. Like, why would you say this to yourself? Because you're your best friend. You have to live with yourself. So, like, wipe it off like it's an old white man, like, trying to get you down. Um, and just be like, "Okay, this is your best friend talking to you. What would you say to them about this?" Um, and I think that's been kind of helpful. There are some pretty bad days, um, but I think, all in all, like, be the best you, and I know that's super generic, and I wish there was, like, a quick life hack I could give you guys to be more confident. Buddy.
What would you say if you 10 years in the future, what would you tell you now about insecurities? Or what do you think you would tell you now?
I don't know. Like, what do I think, like, future me would tell me now?
Yeah.
Oh, stop caring about what other people think so much. Like, I think even in terms of, like, everything, like, I am like, to my very core, I'm a people pleaser, and I think I've gotten a little bit better, but I find that I still, like, try to please people way too much. And I think by the time I'm in my 30s, I'm hoping that I will have a little bit of your big dick energy. You should be priority number 1, you know? No one else is gonna look out for you like you are.
Yeah. But like not to a fault. Like if you're
Yeah.
already like a very me person, maybe it's time to start helping some other people out and thinking
Yes.
about others. This is
Agreed.
just for if you are the people pleasers, the Maggies of the world. Focus on yourself more.
Yo, we should start a group at Maggie's out there.
The
Support
Maggie
group.
army.
Back at you. Like, what would you tell yourself? 10-year you. Wait, 35-year-old you. What would you tell yourself now?
I think mine's more of like what would I tell myself now?
Keep doing you, girl.
I don't want to say that because I feel like there's always like room to grow and everything. I think mine goes back to like even now, like even though I'm like very like me focused, stop appeasing your parents. Um,
Mm,
stand up for yourself like more. Like if you think that something is like an injustice or something like just like not right, like if it doesn't sit right with you, like be more confrontational. Like I think I'm still not as um confrontational as I like to be. I think I'm getting better, but if someone like wrongs you in a way that like doesn't settle with you and doesn't feel right, like approach them, talk to them about it, like be more communicative with your feelings rather than try to like repress them inside. Be more open and honest. Um talk to people more, communicate more. Yeah.
that's funny. I I should really try to I don't think it's bad to process things yourself because I'm not that kind of person. I need to talk to people to process things. And I think that's like I end up saying like the wrong things when I do that. So it's really about like finding like your safe people, being like, "Hey, I need to process things right now. Like, do you mind if I ramble for a little bit? Let's see how things go."
Yeah.
If I trust you with that, like that means you're in my circle. Like, way to go. You
Ah,
made
the
it.
Maggie army.
The Maggie army. We made it, guys. Every day I feel like I still struggle with confidence and insecurity. I wish there would be a time where we could be like, I am 100% confident. Like, do you feel like you are almost 100% confident every day?
No. Oh, no. I wish. There are days where I wake up and it's just like, just not feeling myself. And I think that's normal. Like, I think it's hard to be like actually confident every single day. I think on those days you just have to kind of fake it.
You know what sucks? I think, and I, it's just from like the guys that I talk to, but I feel like they're way more confident than girls are because I'll casually be talking to a guy. I'm like, oh yeah, like I have days where I think I'm like the most horrible, like ugliest person in the world, and I just like break down and cry. And I'm like, but doesn't everyone have those days? And he was like, no, not everyone has those days. And I'm like, oh, okay, so it's just me. But when I talk to other girls, they're like, yeah, I totally get that. I'm like, yo,
Is that like
girl.
a Is that because like girls there's like higher expectations, or is that more of like a guys have a harder time kind of like showing emotion?
I think it's both of them. I mean, girls are, I think, way more in tune with their feelings, and
Mhm.
they're way more sensitive than guys are. Like, if a guy says something to me, I'm gonna overthink it for the next 24 hours.
Mm.
Um, but I think guys are just, like, very simple. That was
Mm.
probably wrong of me. No, guys are not simple. But I think, like, I don't know, it's just, like, one of those things where, like, I have a lot to do. I'm not gonna process this. And I don't know, any guys out there, I'd really like to hear your opinion. Like, do you guys also have those days where you just lay in bed and you think, "Wait a minute, am I depressed?"
I'm glad this therapy session really helped you too.
But yeah, do you have those days where you just like lay down in bed, you're like crying, you're like, "I hate myself so much."
Not to that extent.
Oh,
I like there are days where I am less confident in myself and I don't think okay, so it really like it wavers for me. Like there are days when I wake up and I'm like I am the most attractive person ever. Like everything's just looking right. Like my hair is good, my butt's good. Like it's just a good like overall day. And then there are days where I wake up and I'm like my hair's not looking too hot, my skin's not great, my butt's deflated, like and then I'm like, I'm a little less confident in myself, but I still get up. I still go about my day. It's just a different feeling. But I don't really have those moments where I can't get out of bed. I am crying about um I guess what I look like. I will look for opportunities to cry, but not about myself, about other people's struggles.
oh. If so sometimes I have those days because again, I had like very crippling body dysmorphia. Like I would literally stay in bed for days because I hated my body so much and I hated my face. I hated everything about myself. Um, and sometimes like a bad picture will trigger me. Like if I see myself in a really bad angle or like an unflattering picture, I will have to process this and lay in bed for the next 24 hours and cry and be sad.
Damn. Any advice?
Um, you're gonna look bad at all angles. Like if someone could take a picture of you right now, you're gonna look shit. Really take it with a grain of salt. Like I think I don't there's not a picture out there that captures how I look in real life. I think pictures and in real life look very different. Don't focus so much on it. It's better that you look better in real life than in pictures anyways. So,
Mm.
and I think there's a lot more to it too. If you're a little bit ugly, like you've got a personality to show for it. But also sometimes I'm like, "Fuck, I have a bad personality. Like no one should really talk to me anyways. My personality is unoriginal."
If anything, I wouldn't be mad about your personality. I know that's a very backhanded compliment.
But everything else.
Yeah, everything else, like, I fully agree with, but, you know, your personality's fine. You should focus on other stuff.
That's like least of your priorities. Everything else should be up there.
Yeah, it's like when someone's like, "Oh, I want to get plastic surgery on my nose," and the other person's like, "Oh, your nose? Like, what about like that's the thing you want to focus on?"
I had this conversation literally last night.
That's funny.
It's funny. Yeah, it's really easy for me to try to give advice now, but I think when it comes down to it, it's gonna be hard to listen to. And I think it's really about like finding a safe person to talk to and just letting it all out. Like identify that safe person in your life. And if you can't find that safe person, like feel free to reach out to us. We can talk at any time of the day or night. Email us, hit us up on Twitter, Instagram. Like we are here for you to talk if you don't have anyone else to. Um, yeah, find that safe person, let it all out, ramble for a little bit, cry for a little bit. I think like being with yourself, I think is a little bit tough because you're going to overthink and spiral.
When do
Yeah.
you think someone should get help?
Um,
Like professional help.
this is going to be like, hey Maggie, you should get
Wouldn't
one
that
of
be a
those
great segue?
intervention. Um,
Live.
honestly, I think if it goes on for more than I think like a day or two, you're still finding this, you finding that it affects every aspect of your life and you're generally not happy with who you are and it cripples you, I think that's when you should start getting help. Maybe like not even to that extreme. I think like I don't know, I think you can always get help at every point before it becomes that bad.
Maybe we'll drop some links down below.
We will. Down here.
I mean, or down anywhere, wherever you get your podcast, your Apologetically Me
Yeah.
podcast.
Yeah, for sure. Wow, this got real deep. I'm
Yeah.
gonna go cry later.
Oh no.
JK.
Yeah. My TLDR would be talk to your doctor, do your research before you go on any kind of birth control. Don't go on birth control pills or whatever just because your boyfriend or whatever tells you to. Cry whenever you want to cry. Get help if it becomes too much. I honestly forgot everything else we talked about. Don't let your self-worth be dependent on a guy. Or any guy. Or any other girls.
Nice. Yeah, don't compare yourself. I think it's super easy to, and I know growing up too in like an immigrant household, like you get compared to other people all the time.
Yeah.
And it's really should be like, I know it's really cliche, but like women supporting each other, women, every gender supporting each other. Really, like do not compare yourself. It's a it's a double edged sword because I compare myself career wise to other people, and I think that drives me a little bit more. But I think when it comes to like your personal life, don't compare yourself in any way. Like you can have benchmarks, but I think it's really focused about your happiness.
Yeah. Just because your friends are all getting married doesn't mean you need to get married too. So you settle on the first guy that seems to like you. At rom-coms.
I thought you were about to say at me.
No.
Every time you say at, I'm like, oh god, it's gonna be me this time.
Question of the week. So, I guess we already asked kind of this question last week. Again, what do you wish that you could tell teenage you? Do you struggle with any of the issues that we talked about this week or last week? Do you think there's any other helpful information that your podcast moms, adopted moms, can give you in the future?
Also, what else should we talk about, guys? We're running out. What the hell? Please help us.
Yeah. Not a lot goes on during quarantine, I gotta tell you that.
Yeah, we gotta keep getting creative here. We got so many guests on. We're gonna ask like the next stranger we see to be on our podcast.
Yeah.
If you want us to survive, please offer us cool topics. We will do our research if you need us to. We will talk about conspiracy theories. Wanda has a lot.
I feel like I'm gonna get shunned for my conspiracy theories.
Yeah, you probably will.
I don't know. I want to maintain that whatever I say on the podcast can still not have to be deleted or taken out of context, such that I can still have a political career or go on The Bachelor. If you know what I mean.
Yeah, two very important things. I'm finding that, like, when I talk to, like, friends or something, and they ask me a question, I'm like, "But we already said this on the podcast, like, didn't you listen? You didn't listen at all to the podcast? You don't support me?"
You know, if you want to get to know us, just listen to the podcast. You know, if this would be great if like we ever need to date again, you know, like if we're in the mood for dating, be like, oh, tell me about yourself. I'm like, here is a link to a playlist of all our podcasts. Listen.
It's gonna be, like, a week long, you'll need to catch up, but please do your research before even considering dating me.
Yeah. This is like everything you need to know about me.
It's only gonna be, like, 130 hours, no big deal.
Wow, that's a lot. There's a lot of episodes, man. It's 130
Give or take,
episodes.
I'm just guessing
Yeah,
here.
like with like because we keep shooting for like everything keeps on going over an hour, maybe like 100 episodes. Wow. Where would we be then? It'd be like 2 years from now.
But also, I guess I'd be very scared if you just started bringing up stuff from my personal life and then saying it to me in real life. I'd be like, "Whoa, how do you know this?"
Yeah, but you do that too if you when you stalk people on Facebook.
Yeah, but I don't tell them I stalk them. Not anymore. I stopped doing that.
I think there's actually happened to me. There's one time when like Jordan brought something up and I was like, oh wait, did I tell you this? And he's like, no, you talked about it on the podcast. I was like, ah, yes.
Yeah. That's funny. Kathy will bring this up sometimes too, and I'm like, "Whoa, Kathy, how did you know this?"
Shocked that we have our personal lives out in public. Shocked that people still actually listen and bring it up.
Surprise Pikachu face.
Yeah. Anyways, thanks for tuning in again this week. Like us and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Follow us on social media, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. Maggie works real hard. Not currently because she's very sleep deprived, but she works real hard. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Bye.